الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحات ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به القرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحات ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك. اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به القرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحسن الخواتيم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحات ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم
دكتور
السلام.
أشرف, can you start now, Dr. Ashraf?
الحمد لله وغير اتفاق.
Alhamdulillah. Are you ready?
إن شاء الله.
Okay, so we will start now, inshallah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to today's session on Sabr and its application in facing obstacles in da'wah. Sabr or patience is fundamental principle in our faith, guiding us especially in times of hardship. As we embark on our discussion, let's reflect on how this beautiful trait can empower us as we engage in the important work of sharing our faith with others. I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker for our session today, Associate Professor Dr. Ashraf Sharofiddin, who is the head of Arabic Department for PhD and Master Program. Dr. Ashraf, we are eager to hear your expertise and long experience in Da'wah. Dr. Ashraf, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Assistant Professor Dr. Fahd, uh, for chairing the session. Okay, can I share my slide?
Yes, yes, Dr. Ashraf, please.
Can you see now the slide?
Yes, yes, Dr.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين أما بعد إن الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته and very good morning to all of you, my professors, doctors, all audience, students. First of all, I would like to say Ramadan Mubarak, inshallah. And Alhamdulillah, we have reached to the half of the Ramadan. And it is kind of the mixture of feeling that we have. We feel happy, Alhamdulillah, by grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, allowed us to reach to the half of the Ramadan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our fasting, praying, and worshiping, and our first half of the Ramadan, inshallah. And also, we feel kind of the sad because we are heading toward the ending of this blessed Ramadan, right? And we are going to miss the very high spiritual environment that we are having nowadays, today, right? So we are going to miss these days, this environment, this character. We are going to miss it soon. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us to reach to Ramadan, inshallah, end this Ramadan successfully, and also reach to the coming years, inshallah, years and years. Okay, the second Tazkirah topic that given to me is the Sabr and its application in facing obstacles in Dawah. To me, it's actually kind of the sharing session. All of you, mashallah, expert in this topic. And in fact, this topic is very huge topic, and it's kind of challenging to me to capture the all aspect of this topic, right? So it's actually is not easy, but I'm sure our respected audience, professors, doctors, and everyone can add after I completing my presentation, inshallah. Okay, you see, to me, when we talk about the sabr, first we need to understand the true meaning of patience or sabr, right? Because when we talk about the concept of sabr or the word of sabr, that many of us actually have the very limited understanding about the application of sabr. And, or perhaps we kind of neglecting entirely sometimes the sabr or the application of sabr. Because it is not merely a virtue, it is an act of worship, right? It's a pillar of faith, right? And a test of character. So this word, sabr, or the concept of sabr, or patience, many people think that it's just about enduring hardship, right? So they imagine it is something passive, right? And something they must tolerate in difficult times. But patience is much, much more than that, right? It has very broad application to our life. It is a source of strength, right? It's a source of strength. So even those people, the non-Muslim, talking about the talent management, talking about the leadership and all that, they always refer to the sabr. They always refer to the being the passion. The source of the strength is a pathway to contentment, right? And it's a defining quality of true believers. So how to define or how to know or identify the true believers, whether he or she has sabr and passion during the difficulty times and also during the luxury life. So that's why when you look to what Ali radiallahu anhu, the fourth Khalifa, mentioned very, very profound word, say that faith and passions are like the head and the body. Whoever does not have passion has no faith. Just like a body cannot survive without a head. It's very profound meaning, you see? So what does it mean? Huh? What does it mean when Ali radiallahu anhu said that the passions and faith is like the head and the body? It means that without passions or without having enough sabr, our faith is incomplete. It's very dangerous. So we cannot truly claim to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan if we are not passionate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's test, right? So another great scholar, Sufyan al-Thawri, radiallahu anhu, say that, and also very profound statement, a person does not truly have religion until they understand the hardship are a blessing. And comfort is the real test of patience. Wow, it's kind of the opposite of what a very common understanding about this sabr, right? So, because normally people think that when we have the hardship, then the test is we have to have the test. But when you have the luxury or easy life, then there's no any more test. But Sufyan al-Thawri said, no, it's opposite. In fact, the real test is that when we have the easy life, when we have all resources. Why it is the real test? Because you have all resources that can deviate you from your faith. But the one who has limited resources in his or her life, definitely he has no choice until she need to be sabr, right? So that's why when we talk about the true meaning of sabr, we often associate patience with suffering, right? Waiting for relief when things go wrong. But in reality, the greater test of patience is when things are easy, right? But in reality, the greater test of patience is when things are easy. As I said, because we have all resources, right? Can deviate us from our faith. When we are healthy, when we have wealth, when we are wealthy, and when we are comfortable, and do we remain patient in our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So this is a question that we need to answer to ourselves, right? So do we restrain ourselves from sin when we have all resources, when we have easy life, when we are comfortable, right? So do we remain grateful or do we become heedless, right? So that's why, brothers and sisters, passion is not just about enduring loss, pain, or failure. It's about discipline in worship, perseverance in doing good, right? And restraint in the face of temptation. And without having enough sabr, there can be no true happiness, right? There can be no complete faith, right? And then, so that's why today's topic, we want to discuss more details about the sabr. So now the main question of the topic is that then what's the sabr, right? What's the sabr? Because sabr is not easy task. Sabr is not easy that we can achieve it, right? Sabr has different application, has different aspects. Sabr is a tears that no one sees. When you struggle with your life, when you have the hardship and your tears coming when no one sees it, it's the sabr. Sabr is the feeling alone in your struggles. When you're struggling for your life, when you're struggling for your personal life, for your family life, for your job, for whatever struggling you and effort you are putting, actually is the sabr. Sabr is a tolerating insults with dignity. This is also very important. Sabr is a smile that hides deep pain when you smile. So that Prophet ﷺ said, "Tabassumuka fi wajhi akhika sadaka." When you make smile to your brothers or sisters, it's considered and recorded as a sadaqah. But in fact, it doesn't mean you are happy. It means it's possible that you have deep pain from your bottom of heart. Sabr is waiting for Allah's response even when the wait feels endless, right? So maybe you make dua for a long time to overcome some obstacles, some challenges, but still you are struggling. Having sabr on the response of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually sabr. So that's why Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the level of the du'as, or is actually, I think it's the explanation by scholars. There's a 3 levels of accepting du'as, right? The first one is that when Muslim or anyone make du'a, supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respond him or her immediately. Right? Another is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not respond in giving you exactly what you ask, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can deviate greater hardship that coming to you. The third one is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respond you, but not in this world, but in the hereafter. So that's why when we make dua and we believe in dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hearing us and listening us, so that having the sabr on that and response, whether coming soon or late, is actually sabr, right? But you know what? The good news is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the promise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Inna Allah ma'as sabirin." Indeed, Allah is with the patient. So this means you are never alone. Every tear, every moment of struggle, every silent prayer, Allah sees it all. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with you. Right? So that's why, brothers and sisters, passion is not a weakness. So there's a kind of the misunderstanding that when you have sabr, it means you are, it's kind of the weakness. No, it's in fact, it's a strength, right? It's not passive endurance, but active faith in Allah's plan. And without faith, without it, our faith actually is kind of the incomplete. Okay, so that's why when we look at the sabr from the Quranic perspective, from the Quran, the concept of sabr or patience is one of the most emphasized virtues in the Quran and appearing in over 90 verses across different surahs in the Quran. But the term sabr and its derivatives mainly repeated on more than 100 places in the Quran. We have sabirin, sabaru, isbir. So this is the most repeated words of sabr in the Quran. So, but when you look at the verses that mentioned in the Quran about the sabr, basically we find out that there are 3 main categories Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about the sabr. Sabr in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as-sabr ala ta'a, remaining steadfast in worship and fulfilling obligations. Right? So, so that's why Prophet ﷺ mentioned in one hadith, أحب الأعمال إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى أحب الأعمال إلى الله أدومها وإن قل. So the best worshiping to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one with sustainability, right? Not even though the quantity is less. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not ask about the quantity rather than ask us about the quality. Right? So sabr in avoiding sins, as-sabr ala al-ma'siyah, resisting temptation and refraining from sin, right? Especially when we have the old resources, right? Sabr in hardship and trials, as-sabr ala al-bala, enduring tests, suffering and loss with faith, right? So just to mention, to gain barakah, mention some verses from the Quran talking about the sabr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, إن الله مع الصابرين. Indeed, Allah is with passion. Another one is that patience leads to unlimited reward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. Indeed, the passion will be given their reward without measure. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. So seeking help through patience and prayer, right? And also the passion will enter Jannah. سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِمَا صَبَرْتُمْ فَنِعْمَ عُقْبَى الدَّارِ. And so on, so forth. So there is a lot of verses mentioned about the sabr. So then we can summarize that the passion is not just about enduring hardship. It is about staying steadfast in worship, avoiding sin, and trusting in Allah's plan. So that's why the Quran repeatedly remind us that sabr leads to success in both this world and the hereafter as well. Okay? And also it's good to see the sabr from the ahadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in a lot of about the sabr, a lot of, about the hadith, right? About the sabr. So just to gain the barakah and to say some of this hadith. Okay, so the first one is the patience is the best gift actually from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? عن أبو سعيد الخدري رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال وما أعطي أحد عطاء خيرا وأوسع من الصبر. No one is given a gift better and more comprehensive than patience. So then if you are very patient with all difficulties you are facing, then believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually giving you that gift. Because many Muslims, many people actually have very limited sabr in front of dealing with difficulties and hardship and all that. So this hadith shows that passion is the greatest blessing, and a believer can have it because it is strengthens faith and leads to success in this world and hereafter. And patience is at the first strike of calamity. This is also very important. عن أم سلمة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إنما الصبر عند الصدمة الأولى. True patience is at the first stroke of calamity, right? When you first time you hear about some difficulties or some problems or hardship in your life, what's your reflect? What is your feedback on that? Are you saying Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un? Are you saying Qadar Allah ma shafa'a? Or you starting to show all anger and all this kind of the instability? So this is the Prophet ﷺ said. Right? So this hadith teaches that passion is the best shown when a calamity first strikes, not after emotions settle. Right? And also sabr guarantees Allah's help and victory. Right? وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ النَّصْرَ مَعَ الصَّبْرِ وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Know that victory comes with patience, relief comes with affliction, and ease comes with hardship. So this hadith reassures believers that patience leads to success and every hardship comes with ease. So it doesn't matter what types of the difficulties you are facing in your life. We may have problems and difficulties in our daily life, in our office life, in our family life, in all other types of the life, right? So, but we have to be confident that when we make sabr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lead us to the more success, and definitely the ease will follow the difficulties. And Prophet ﷺ also mentioned, As-sabru nisful iman. Passion is the half of faith. You see? So that's why Ali radiallahu anhu said, the role of the sabr and the connection between the iman and sabr is kind of the head on the body, right? So this hadith highlights that the passion is essential for a strong and complete faith, right? Or another hadith, the strong believer is one who controls himself in anger. عن أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ليس الشديد بالسرعة إنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. The strong person is not the one who can overpower others, but the one who controls himself when angry. So this is very important. So that's why we have actually kind of the limited sabr or limited understanding about the sabr. Sabr is not about to have the power over others, but actually to be calm if there's any shortcomings or any problems or any obstacles we receive from our environment. And also patience is a worship. In worship is a greater than miracles. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن من عباد الله من لو أقسم على الله لأبره وإن منهم لأهل الصبر واليقين. Among the servants of Allah are those who, if they swore by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He would fulfill it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfill His dua. And among them are the people of patience and certainty. So if you want to get response to our du'as from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala faster as soon as possible, then we have to be more patient, more sabr. So patience is a certainty, and patience and certainty in faith are greater than supernatural miracles. So if you want to have the miracles, if you want to have karama, if you want to have the wisdom, then we have to be very patient in different level of our life. Okay, so because of the time, if we go through all the hadiths, of course, the time is limited. But based on my humble understanding, I come out with this, what we call kind of the formula, right? When we talk about the Islam or how we ensure that our Islam is complete. I mean, as an individual, how I ensure that I'm the complete Muslim. So we have to look at from the very what we call the fundamental of Islam. You see, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, wasbiru, right? And or in other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. So basically, if we see that Islam has two main parts, okay? The first part is actually theoretical of Islam, right? Theoretical part of the Islam, which is actually a aqidah and iman, all that actually is the theoretical part of the Islam. And the other side, always Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever mention about iman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mention about the amal, right? About the ibadat, the practical side. But always I was thinking, what is the connection between these two sides of the Islam, or how to we ensure that we have good connection between the theoretical part and practical of Islam? To my humble understanding, and find out that actually it is sabr. Sabr is the one can connect you with the theoretical part and the what we call is the practical part. So that's why I call it this Islamic triangle formula, if allow me, which is actually showing how sabr and which is includes the patience and perseverance, balance between the theoretical of Islam, which is aqidah and iman, and practical side of Islam, which is ibadat and amal. So if sabr is weak, then the balance between faith and action is lost. This is reality, right? So sometimes some Muslims is very weak in terms of the ibadat, in terms of the worship, and in terms of the amal, because he has lack of understanding from the iman side, right? So that's why it's very kind of the triangle, what you call the connection between the practical and theoretical of Islam. So that's why the formula, the model is that complete Islam, is actually equal to knowledge and theoretical part, which is aqidah, and practical side, which is ibadah, all that actually multiplied by sabr. If you want to increase our knowledge, our aqidah, our theoretical part of Islam, then at the same time, to be more practical, then we have to increase our sabr. If sabr is missing, Islam becomes unstable. If theory is strong but practice is weak, then hypocrisy arises, right? If practice is strong but theory is weak, blind flowing occurs. So that's why all kind of the bid'ah is appearing, because of the theory part of Islam is very weak to those people or to the group of people. Only with strong sabr, right, and patience, then that Islam remain firm. Okay. So that's why I think the best practice that we can see is actually the stories of prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in 1/3 of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned different stories of prophets, and each one actually practicing the sabr in different level of the hardship. Of course, we cannot go through all that, but let's start with the what do you call is about the some stories of those prophets that actually practice the sabr. Okay, so that's why before that, sabr is not just about waiting; it's about remaining steadfast and trusting in Allah's plan and continuing despite difficulties. So then we can say that why the patience important in da'wah, because people don't change overnight, right? So even the best message take time to penetrate hearts. So guidance is in Allah's hand, not in our hand. We only convey the message. It is Allah who guides, actually, not us. So that's why when we want someone to be guided, to be more what we call spiritual, to be more close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what only one can do is just pray for him or her. And at the same time, we need to show to our individual level our best character and also deal with her or him in best way. And also delays in success are not failures. They are part of Allah's perfect timing. وَمَنْ يَتَصَبَّرْ, Allah Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, يُصَبِّرُهُ اللَّهُ. Whoever remains patient, Allah will make him patient. So never expect immediate result, right? When we do the da'wah, and keep making dua for those you call to Islam, and trust that every effort is rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if results are unseen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never will ask us about the result, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about what the effort that we put, right? So that's why one of the best example that we can mention in practicing sabr is the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, right? Who actually made da'wah 950 years of struggle, right? He called people day and night, but they mocked him, right? He tried different approaches, publicly, privately, through warnings and advices, and many other ways. Yet only a few believed on him. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, قال نوح قال رب إني دعوت قومي ليلا ونهارا فلم يزدهم دعائي إلا فرارا. My Lord, indeed I have called my people night and day, but my calling only increased them in flight. So what we can learn from the story of Nuh alayhi salam is that if your effort in da'wah seem ineffective, do not give up. Right? Do not give up. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Surah the Surah Yusuf that having the give up is actually the character of the shaitan. Right? So not giving up actually is the character of the Muslim. And also patience is about persistence, not instant success. Right? So we cannot expect the immediate result. Right? Or another very good story that mentioned in the Quran and repeatedly mentioned in many surahs is the story of Musa alayhi salam, right? Dealing with Fir'aun and Banu Israel. Fir'aun rejected him, right? And very arrogantly and oppressed Banu Israel and Musa alayhi salam's people. Right? And the other side, Musa alayhi salam was facing also difficulties and challenges from the Bani Israel because they kept doubting him. Even after witness miracle, right? They saw that Fir'aun died in the Nile, but still they're doubting that. You see how the very difficult, just imagine how difficult times was facing by Musa alayhi salam. Yet Musa alayhi salam did not lose patience. Instead, he made dua, right? In the Quran mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُ قَوْلِي. Oh my Lord, expand for me my chest, right? And ease for me my task. So to make the story short, what we can learn from the Musa alayhi salam story is that da'wah means dealing with arrogance and ignorance people. But what we can do is just stay calm and keep going. If we believe in our mission, if we believe in our objectives, if we believe in our Islam, right? So then we don't have any choice other than staying calm and keep going on our way, right? This is what the Musa alayhi salam did. And make dua for strength when the mission feels overwhelming. Of course, we are the human being. Of course, it's going to be very burden to us. It's not easy, right? It's very easy by saying by word, but when we face in that reality, it's not easy. So, but what can help us to be strong is actually dua. So this is what we see all prophets, whenever they face difficulties and calamities, actually they make dua, right? So this is actually the kind of the what we call the practice that we can see of prophets. Of course, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the last and final prophet, the ultimate example of sabr, the 23 years of da'wah that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent it, actually is full of the sabr, right? Full of the sabr. Just imagine, I'm sure all of you know about the seerah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially the first 10 years in the Makkah, right? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was actually kind of the limited resources, has no power. It was very difficult times. But Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very sabr, right? So let's just pick up some example from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. For example, the Taif incident, the most difficult test of patience. He was stoned by people of Taif until his shoes, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, filled with blood. But instead of seeking revenge, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed for them. Allahumma ahdi qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. So, but what we can learn from that incident is that even in the face of hostility, respond with mercy and patience. Just let's imagine how many of us actually facing this kind of the issues or any kind of the obstacles and issues in our daily life. Just compare it with what Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam faced during the incident of Taif. It's not equal, right? Definitely it's not equal. But how we deal with that incident, right, we face in our personal life, in our family life, in our work life perhaps, right? So that's why even in the face of hostility, respond with the mercy and patience. Is this actually a sign of the Iman? And guidance comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep making dua for others rather than taking the revenge, rather than planning to take the revenge, rather than making trouble for people, rather than making the difficulties for others. It's actually not solve the problem. It's not solve the difficulties from your heart. Maybe you from the what do you call in appearance you feel happy, but I'm sure from bottom of your heart you feel actually stressed. You feel Very sad, very bad. Why? Because it's not actually part of that. It's not the character of the Imam, right? It's not the character of the Prophet ﷺ. So we have to be very calm and we have to be very patient in whatever the level of the difficulty we face. So another one is that the incident of the social boycott. 3 years of hardship, right? The Prophet ﷺ and his companions were boycotted, starved, right? And isolated from the society. Just imagine how it is difficult, right? Despite that, right? All the suffering and all the difficulties, all the problems, but Prophet ﷺ remained firm. لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى قال واصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين, and be patient, for indeed Allah does not waste the reward of the righteous. So when we talk about the da'wah, then what we can learn from this incident is that da'wah comes with struggles, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reward is greater than any hardship. So then let's see the practical ways of sabr in da'wah, right? So part of it actually the handling rejection and criticism. When you go to the da'wah, or you are in the way of the da'wah, or you are doing because when you talk about the da'wah, for your information, that when we talk about the da'wah is actually showing any kind of the good character in society. It is a da'wah by itself. Da'wah is not necessarily invite non-Muslims to Islam. It's a part of the da'wah, yes. But now, alhamdulillah, we have a million plus Muslims in the world. So now our society perhaps need more da'wah than the non-Muslims, because we are actually facing a lot of misunderstanding about the Islamic concepts. So that's why إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, indeed you do not guide whom you love, but Allah guides whom He wills. So what we can do is that speak with wisdom and kindness. This is what we can do in our personal capability, and never argue aggressively. Guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe you disagree with what is happening. Maybe you disagree with what you can see, but it doesn't mean you are allowed to argue aggressively. No, it's not part of the sabr. It's not part of the iman, because guidance is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everyone get the reward from what he or she is doing, right? And also keep making dua for those who reject your message, right? You cannot force someone to follow your message. You cannot force, right? But what you can do is you can just make dua for him or for her. And also facing hostility and opposition. ليس الشديد بالسرعة إنما الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. As we mentioned earlier, Prophet ﷺ said, the strong person is not the one who overcomes others to have the power over others, but the one who controls himself in anger. So what we can do is that stay calm even when provoked. It's very important. And I think it's very, very commonly happen, right? During our daily life, our social life and all that. Someone wants to provoke you. It happened. It could be happen. But what we can do is just stay calm even when provoked. Remember that patience and sabr earns Allah's love. This meaning very profound if we understand it from our bottom of heart. Remember that the patience earns Allah's love. Are you agree, or do you prefer to be in love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you just get the revenge, for example, just make yourself happy for the short term, right? So it's very important. And also staying motivated despite slow progress. وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ قال Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the good end is for the righteous. So we have to increase our belief in the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in the and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the good end is actually for the righteous only. And what we can do is that trust that every small effort counts. Right? Whatever effort that you put in, maybe no one see it, maybe no one reward you or award you, no one say you thank you, but we have to believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala counted. As long as we are sincere on that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us. That is the most important. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the surah Tawbah, وَقُلِ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in this ayah, saying that the meaning of the ayah is that you just do your effort. You just do the best what you can do. Because soon or later, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala show the result of your effort and your struggling to the Prophet and also to all mu'mins, to all Muslims, to everyone. Everyone sooner or later see your results, your effort and your struggling. So that's why we should not be bother ourselves whether someone say to us thank you or not. We should not bother ourselves to something or situation that maybe no one say thank you. Why? Because we said it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if it is very small, even it is not actually seen by others. Right? So that's why we have to seek patience through salah and istighfar. Right? So as I said in the beginning, sabr is not in the task. Right? So since we are in the month of the Ramadan, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Dr.
الصيام
Ashraf,
نصف الصبر.
you
Yes.
have 2 minutes. If you can summarize in this 2 minutes.
Okay.
We
I
have
have
some minutes sometimes
another 2
for the
Okay.
okay.
Thank you. Okay, so fasting is a half of the patience. So this is what we are learning, inshallah, in this Ramadan and training ourselves. The 1 month is enough to train ourselves and to acquire the sabr. So the best of what we discussed, from my humble understanding, I tried to come out with a sabr framework. Okay, because when we talk about the sabr, a 3-tier framework where patience is built on 3 main pillars, right? First, mental strength, understanding and mindset, which means understanding that trials are part of the Allah test, trusting that ease follows hardship, and also accepting that the guidance is wisdom and wisdom come with patience. The second, spiritual strength, which is faith and connection, strengthening iman, tawakkul, and taqwa, engaging in salah, dua, and dhikr, seeking Allah's help through istighfar and shukr, emotional and behavior strength, action and reactions, controlling anger, frustration, and despair, and maintaining self-discipline and gratitude, and responding to hardship with the perseverance and positivity. So the formula or the model of the sabr is that there is the factors actually affect our sabr. So if we want to increase our sabr, we have to increase these factors, these variables, which is iman, tawakkul, taqwa, shukr, gratitude, isti'ana, right? And istighfar, make dua, dhikr, and all that, and also dua. So all those factors actually increase our sabr. So in conclusion, how to apply the sabr formula in our daily life? We say that when facing hardship in our life, either in our daily life, individual, family, we have to strengthen your iman and make dua to Allah, make you strong in facing that hardship. When feeling hopeless, increase tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do the istighfar, because we have a lot of hadith mentioned in istighfar. When dealing with people, show taqwa and remain calm. Overcome your anger. When waiting for an answer, stay persistent in salah. Right? When struggling with emotions, remember Allah's promise and rewards. إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. Indeed, the patients will be given their reward without measure. So this is a true essence of sabr, not just enduring hardship, but persevering with faith, trust, and gratitude. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And maybe perhaps to open for the comments and no question, huh? Just comments to add to
Okay,
complete the topic. Barakallah fikum.
thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashraf. Jazakumullahu khairan for this valuable insights and this beautiful tazkirah. We know that sabr is continuous uh, process. Without sabr or without da'wah, Islam and the teaching of Islam might not reaching us today. Also, we, talking about sabr and da'wah, we cannot make separatism between these terminologies. Da'wah, it means you are sharing your faith, your belief with others. You are trying to, you know, to, to convince others to follow your religion, your belief. Of course, there will be resistance from them. Then you have to be, to know, ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. When we talk about sabr and da'wah, we have always to remember the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, our role model in the da'wah. He was thrown by the stone, a lot of difficulties. He left his place, his home, Mecca. He immigrated to different places. This is for all just for da'wah. Okay, for now, I'm gonna open the floor for comments, okay, or any inquiry or questions by anyone. So you may uh, share directly to Dr. Ashraf, or you can write it in the chat box. Yeah, any question, any comment?
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Ashraf. I have one question.
Walaikum salam.
What is the best method to train Sabr? Is there any method for that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zina, for the question. As I said in the framework or the model of the Sabr, to me, the Sabr is not stand-alone character. So in order to increase our Sabr or train our Sabr, so we have to improve the other factors that affect directly the Sabr. For example, the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? The taqwa is one of the main character that increase the sabr, because sabr has, as I said, is actually the connection between the two sides of the Islam, right? Which is the theoretical part that we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe in whatever actually that come to us. Actually, there's a taqdir, right? قدر الله من خير وشر من الله سبحانه وتعالى. So whatever the good and things coming actually is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a taqdir. So is a taqwa actually is part of it. And part of it also actually is dua. So that's why Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the meaning of hadith, man sabbar yusabbiruhu Allah. The meaning of hadith that who make the sabr or struggle to be sabir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide him to become more sabr. So it's kind of the struggling, it's daily activities. So it's not kind of the what do you call the fruit that we can eat to become sabr, or drink that we drink. No, it's actually other factors, other variables that if we improve that, definitely affect to increase our sabr. Of course, during Ramadan, that we break the fast, right? Even every day, maybe perhaps changing in the minutes, right? For example, 7:27, then 7:28, and so on and so forth. It's actually already training ourselves that we are able to actually make sabr in all difficulties and problems. So this is actually the areas that every day we practice it. So wallahu alam. So what I can say is that this is the best practice that is, you cannot see the sabr as stand alone. So there's other factors actually affected. So we have to increase the knowledge of Islam, right? So we have to increase the taqwa. We have to increase the, and of course, part of it is dua. As I said, is the gift, as Prophet ﷺ mentioned, is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the person. So I think, wallahu alam, all that actually affect to practice the Islam, to sabr, inshallah.
Is there any question for others? Or if not, I want to have a second question, Doctor. Can I?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, Dr. Regina, please
yes, okay.
proceed.
So basically, there's one verse in Quran mentioned that Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqaumin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, isn't it?
Yes.
So basically, if we are facing a kind of situation, which of course, which force us to be sabar, okay? Is it mean we shouldn't do anything? You understand what to say? Or is it mean that, when we are struggling to maybe to change the situation, is it also counted as being sabar?
I think it's very deep question. Perhaps Mashaykh also will add on that part. It's very it has different actually aspect of this question. So when we talk about the changing the situation, there's some condition, okay? Some condition, whether we just keep it silent, right? Or we do our best of level to change the situation, right? Or we use the power, we use the other means that allow us to change the situation, right? So that's why Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, the criteria of change iman in changing the situation to the better. Okay, the ad'aful iman, right? The most low level of the iman is that someone just had by heart regarding that bad situation or not pleasant situation. Okay, so if what scholars mention about the changing the situation, we make sure that the changing the situation, right, will not end to the result that make the situation worse. Okay, so then in this case we have only two choices, right? One choice is that we use all the means to change the situation, right? In this case, so we have to make sure that the situation will not become worse, which means the result, the negative impact become more and severe than the changing only the situation. Maybe the situation, the impact of that situation is very limited to the limited person, right? But when you start to what do you call change the situation using all means, definitely to me is actually may create more harm to society, may create on. So in this case, it better to be sabr, right? So but in the case that we have the possibility, we have the means to change it, and we are sure that the changing that situation will not create more harm to society, to people, and all that. Definitely, we should use it, and this is part of the what you call changing the situation. Of course, when we talk about the situation, the bad situation, right, to the better. So that's why, to me, making sabr in this case, when we see that the negative impact become multiple compared to the negative impact of the situation if stayed as it is. Wallahu alam. Yes, Prof. Said.
Thank you, Dr. Ashraf. Prof. Said, you want to say something?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May I? Yeah.
Salam.
I'll
Yes,
try to
please,
keep
Prof.
it brief. Thank you so much,
Yeah, bro.
Brother Ashraf. I love your framework. I'm a framework person, so I always look for framework. And when you share the framework, yeah, it's good for me. I just want to share just a small response about life. Life is about choices when you have opportunities and challenges. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about sabr is about yourself, actually, at the end of the day. Yeah. Whatever changes that we make, it begin with ourselves. Yeah. So liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. You know, from Suratul Mulk, where Allah continuously tests us. So the sabr will be realized first in our own self. Now, whether you see it in around you and others, that is number two.
Yeah.
Because it is with Allah's will and His grace, things happen. But first, inshallah, we become better persons and we can make a better community. Wallah alam. Thank you. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Said.
Dr. Ashraf,
Yes.
we have a question in the chat box. You can read and go through.
It's safe to say that being sabr is not being helplessness or continues to say in frustration without doing nothing. Yeah, I think this we just do our best. But as I said, to me, we make sure that the what do you call the result will not end to the multiple negative impact. So this is a criteria you should take a look at it, right? So that's why the legal maxim say that darul mafasid was that so we have to eliminate the harm first, okay? So actually the priority is eliminating the harm. So if the harm is actually affecting in the what we call limited circle, right? Limited circle, and if we use the all means for changing that situation, and then the negative impact, spread to the wider circle, definitely in this case we have to keep silent and then just make dua and just use the whatever I can do. Wallah alam.
Dr. Razina, if I may add to your inquiry, basically it depends on the types of hardship that we are facing. Sometimes our hardship is difficult to change it. For example, passing away any one of our family members. So this one can't be changed. Okay. So sabr here, must be, we have to train ourselves. We know the situation is difficult, but always we have to sabr, okay, to get the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we feel that there is a condition that we feel that is, difficult hardship. We see how we can implement the wisdom. In the Quran says, ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Sometimes in every situation, all the difficulties, we have to see the difficulties as a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, we see it as a test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to know that, in the end there will be a reward. Okay. So this is my humble feedback to this inequality. Actually, sabr and da'wah is really beautiful topic, and discussing such topic we need maybe 7 to 8 hours. Okay, so anyway, any additional comment, any questions before we end our tazkirah today?
So sorry, Dr. Fahd, it's me again.
Yeah, Dr. Zina.
Yes, it's me again. Okay. The thing is, why I'm asking the question, because throughout the community service activities that we did at Status Center, we tend to actually, through my experience, we tend to meet people who basically just like, I'm being sabar, but then there's no effort made to change the situation. You understand? Something like that. I try to say that this is my situation. I'm living in poverty, for example. So let's let Allah change my situation. I will something like that, just being sabar. Okay. So some sort for me, I take it just like a misconception, That's why I raised the question. Thank you,
Yes.
Dr.
Yes, Dr. Razina, I think it's part of sabr actually is actually action. So you have to take the action. So just sitting without taking proper action on changing our life, and that of course is also against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So everyone knows the ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving to him or her. So yes, I think I agree with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Fahd. I think the time is already 10:30.
So, in the end, thank you, Dr. Ashraf, for this beautiful tazkirah, discussing sabr and its application in facing obstacles in dawah. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala um, help us and to be among those patients, sabr, because actually sometimes when we talk in the normal life, in the normal situation, sabr, 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 but in fact we can test the real sabr during the hardship life. By this, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا. Thank you so much, Dr. Ashraf. Thank you so much, everyone,
Thank you very much,
for
everyone.
joining our tazkirah. May Allah accept our fasting, our puasa, and our good deeds. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant us forgiveness for any shortcoming. هذا وبالله الهداية والتوفيق. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Salam. Thank you,
Salam.
Dr. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Ashraf.
very
Jazakumullah
much.
khairan.
Dr. Fahad.
Thank you, Doctor. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much, Prof.